and Jeannie, we're going viral. So on Saturday, Trevor Lawrence helped Clemson crush Syracuse by 35 points. However, all is not bad at the Cuse. Check out this tweet from the Syracuse NPR station congratulating our very own Nick Wright, who will be inducted into their Hall of Fame in 2020. Nick, first of all, congratulations. That is fantastic. We now have 2 Hall of Famers on the show.
Thank you very much. That's very nice you guys put it on the show. Going on alongside Adam Shine, who's an all-time great talk show host, Dave Fash. What's the matter, Chris Carter? What's the matter, Chris?
I got something in my...
Oh, okay. You tear it up.
Did I anoint him too quickly?
No. This is very nice of you guys to do it.
We got 1 Hall of Famer on this show.
I knew he was going to be upset. You shouldn't.
What did he do?
Part of it.
What did Nick do? Nick just came alive.
No.
Listen,
I guarantee you that comes with a 6-figure donation.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Bad people.
How much did he donate to the Nick Wright like music studio? Oh, the Nick Wright Talk Studio. There it is.
All right, those
comes with a Hall of Fame plaque.
These are separate instances.
You had ID to get in there. They're like, who are you?
Oh, because of the hair.
Who's the guy with the fancy? What are you doing? Give me your ID. Let me see your driver's license.
Is there a Nick Wright Talk Studio there?
Yeah, there is. Right alongside the Bob Costas update booth and the Marv Albert news studio.
When did they get in there?
Nick.
When did say it again?
Yeah, when did they get in?
Marv and Bob have been in the Hall of Fame for years and years.
Nick, I
don't need to spend more time on this. That was very nice of you. It wasn't as nice for you, but that's fine. You're not going to be able to rain on the parade.
I was asked. You're not going to start the show. Hey, Jenna Wolf with 2 Hall of Fame.
Of course not. I was going to ask Chris to induct.
I'm in my high school Hall of Fame. No. I'm in the Buckeye Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I don't mention it.
You're such a bad guy. You're such a bad guy.
On to the Seahawks and Steelers. Tough night for Ben Roethlisberger.
That one in my wheelchair, man. I'm on a roll today.
But that was during a commercial break. The audience doesn't know. Big Ben had to leave the game.
Congratulations, dog.
Right elbow injury. Big Ben would not return because
I'm the one who knew you had some potential.
Said injury. There will reportedly be a decision today on whether he needs surgery on the elbow or not, something Big Ben's hoping to avoid. All right, Coach, what's your reaction to this latest news from Ben Roethlisberger?
Well, obviously this has been bothering him for a while. I don't know if he was on the injury report or not. I don't remember any of us hearing about this injury prior to the game.
Coach, this might be one of those things like Richard Sherman. Remember a couple years ago, he said, man, my Achilles
been bothering
me. I knew I was going to, and then it snapped. It could be a situation like that.
Yeah, I'm curious when this happened, how long he's been battling it for, and you know, is this something that he's had to fight through, and it just finally got to a point where now he's got to make a decision longer term. But if this happens, it's a dramatic problem for the Steelers, because their only chance is for him to play and him to make all those young receivers better because of the things that he brings to the table, and that's just not going to be the case with anybody who subs in for him. And then you look at the rest of the team. They're not running the ball very effectively at all. And defensively, there's nothing there to look at where you're encouraged by what's happening. Russell Wilson has 82% completion yesterday, and it's just, where is the silver lining in this situation right now? And the only silver lining was him continuing to play and the impact that he could have on the whole team by what he brings to the table.
And listen, he was listed on Wednesday as did not practice, but they said it was not injury related. Full participant Thursday, full participant Friday, not on the injury report at all.
And that Wednesday practice it's around the league. It is typically the best day to give your veteran players, your oldest guy. Talk to Fitzgerald. He talked about not practicing on Wednesday. Talk to Earl Thomas. He talked about being off on Wednesday. So that is part.
That jives with them thinking, listen, Ben's elbow's a little sore, but that's because he's in year 16. He threw the ball 600 times last year, and his elbow's going to be a little sore. This is multi-layered devastation. For the Steelers for this year, as I've said before, it can get late early. And it's about to for them. I know they like Mason Rudolph. They drafted him despite having drafted our guy Josh Dobbs the year before. And they said we liked him, and Big Ben didn't want to mentor him, and so that's fine. But Mason Rudolph's not Ben Roethlisberger, who led the NFL in passing last year. You mentioned the other issues on their team. Before Ben got hurt, this offense was playing terribly through 6 quarters, now admittedly tiny sample size, and all of a sudden it looks like in the division, they've got a great team. Now, it's not the team that I thought was going to be the great team in Cleveland. We'll see what they look like tonight. But Baltimore does not look like they're all of a sudden going to go on some 6-game losing streak. And then the other layer is for Big Ben's career. This is how Terry Bradshaw's career ended. He's 35 years old, popped an elbow ligament in a playoff game in 1982, played one more game the rest of his career. Big Ben's in year 16. If he has major elbow surgery at this point, I would have, the smart money would be on that Big Ben is, we have seen the end of Big Ben as an elite quarterback. And that's unfortunate. That's football-wise tragic. But I think that's what we're staring at. And the Steelers don't, I mean, can probably barely remember life before Ben Roethlisberger. Mike Tomlin has no recollection as a head coach because he has no experience of it, of life without Ben Roethlisberger.
No one on that team does.
Nobody does. And so it's, in all ways, this is awful, awful news for Pittsburgh.
As Coach talked about, we need Ben to be the force multiplier. When you have Juju Smith-Schuster, 22 years old, leading your wide receiving room. James Washington, oh man, he's an old man at 23. The receiver coach died several weeks ago, suddenly. Now they bring on Ray Sherman. So for me, my biggest concern is leadership. How do you provide leadership for all these young guys as far as Coach Parcells says, man, when you start getting injuries and stuff, it's easy to head for the back door. Guys start making excuses. Guys start protecting their own career and everything. And to me, this is beyond Mike Tomlin's messaging point, because he can win a press conference. Oh, he'll say something enthusiastic. Oh, we're slobbing at the mouth, waiting to get out. He said that last Wednesday. I watched the first beginning of the game because we had it on the computer, me and Dusty. They didn't look like they were slobbing at the mouth wanting to get out there against the Seahawks. So for me, this is the turning point in this franchise. People question Mike Tomlin, but now you lose L. Bell, you lose AB, and now Ben.
Who are you?
What type of identity do you have?
Yeah.
You can't run the ball. Now you can't throw the ball. Your defense don't have no teeth. You don't have no great rush. You don't have no stellar linebacking core. No, that secondary besides Joe Hayden, man, them guys are out to be had. Week in and week out, quarterbacks are looking out there to see, oh, who can I, oh, let me throw against him. So, to me, this becomes very, very critical. I hope he doesn't have surgery. I hope he's able just to miss a short period of time. I believe, though, he'll miss at least a month and a half, Coach.
And on the Terry Bradshaw point, it was 1982, so we're talking about 37 years worth of medicine that hopefully they've made some advances in how to treat this. And I do think when you look at these first two games, different than Dallas, they might have run into two of the better teams in the NFL with New England and Seattle. So there's a little bit
of preparation, credibility. Yeah,
and where things are going to be at the end of the season. I think we're looking at two really good teams in the NFL that they face. So I want to tempo that part down. But if he's not able to be there, they have made a major cultural shift in Pittsburgh in terms of what they're trying to achieve from a locker room perspective, and he was going to be the person to bring them through that. Now, without him, it's going to be really interesting to see where they go from a coaching perspective.
He was also, just quickly, if I may, I'm sorry, Jenna, of our 5 elder statesman quarterbacks, Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, Big Ben, the only one to get a contract extension into the next few seasons that, if he is out or if he is a different player, is going to hurt the Pittsburgh Steelers' ability to compete years moving forward. All the other quarterbacks his age or older are playing on the final years of their deal. That's an element of this as well.
Well, and especially interesting that we talk about it, what happened with Drew Brees and a lot of these quarterbacks in that group. But this is a tough position for Mike Tomlin. You know, James Conner's hurt. You're not sure what you have with your wide receivers. Now your force multiplier is out and down for the count. Even if this great-minded, you know, coach in Mike Tomlin, it's hard to pick and put together a roster that's going to go out there and win games.
But when you look at when Tom Brady got hurt, Matt Castle was able to come in. They won 11 games. Okay, they were able to figure out a way to still win games, and Mike Tomlin's been there a long time, and Sean Payton's been there a long time, and they're both have great reputations. Now you're really going to get to see the value that they add to those groups, because the answer that's always been there is suddenly removed, and you've got to find not one answer, you've got to find a bunch of different answers to compensate for that.
Just quickly, people bring up the Matt Castle year all the time, and they did go 11-5. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is, with Tom Brady, that roster was 16-0. and the next year they were -5 wins. If this team goes -5 wins, they go to 4 wins from where they were last year. So and Matt Castle proved to be, I guess, a competent backup quarterback in this league. But I don't think it's a totally fair comparison, because that Patriot team Castle was taking over was extraordinary. This Steelers team, as we've just talked about, is missing a lot of talent.
I think what Coach is saying, though, they did have a system to lean on.
Yeah.
They knew what they were going to do. We're going to be ball control, lean on the defense. In Pittsburgh, what does Tomlin do?
Who are they? What's their identity now?
Yeah, besides try to win the press conference.
Foaming at the mouth. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, thank you.
Have fun here in New York
Coach.
without
Appreciate
us.
See you.
Coming up, Antonio Brown is off and running with the Patriots. That's next. First things first.
Coach, you're not in your high school Hall of Fame?